Hello, everyone. Good morning. I've never done a live stream this early in the morning, I don't think. But ladies and gentlemen, we are living through history. History is being made right now, and I thought that I'd cover it real quick. And the title of this live stream, where it says silver breaks above $70, that's not clickbait. That is a fact, and I'm going to show you proof of that here in a minute. All right. I'm going to take about 1 minute to say hello to a few of you, and then we're going to get started. I really don't have anything scripted. I just want to show you and talk to you what I'm talking about, that silver has broken over $70 an ounce. And I am going to talk to you about what the Federal Reserve, not what did they just do, but what they're about to do. It's something that I talked about in a video that I put out. What day is today? I put out that video last Saturday, about 5 or 6 days ago, and it's aged very well since then. It was a video where I was talking about how you need to protect yourselves, not only with preps, of course, with preps first, you need things that you have, but there's only so much stuff that you can store away. And once you're done storing the amount of preparations that you need for a certain period of time, what do you do with your excess wealth after that? And that's what I was talking about on that video. And of course, I went to God's money, gold and silver, right now, especially silver. And let me just say hello to a few of you real quick. I think I seen low blood pressure here a minute ago. Low blood pressure. How you doing, brother? How's things going in Corpus Christi, Texas? Salt, how you doing? Mary, how you doing? John? Dawn, Scott is in the house as always. How you doing, Scott? Good to see you, brother. Thank you for being here. Nostradamus is here. Good to see you as well. So it's really good to see all of you. I'm going to try not to make this a very long video, although, you know what? I don't have anything scheduled for the rest of the day. Before I continue, ladies and gentlemen, the best way that you can support me is give it a like, share this stuff, and go back to yesterday's video. I put out 2 videos yesterday, both of which, in my opinion, are equally as important for you to know in order to see what's coming in the future, because things are happening at such a fast rate in this technological world that we live in, that unless we stay ahead of stuff, we're going to get stuck behind. Just like I'm sure some people have that were selling their silver a month or 2 ago when it was like in the 40s. You know, I was talking to excuse me. Well, I wasn't talking to them. I haven't seen them in a little bit. But the last time that I went to the coin shop, Alaska Rare Coins, I was talking to Jerry and Dick, and they were telling me that they were buying way more silver than what they were selling. And I told them then, I remember telling them, man, they are going to regret doing it. Now, am I telling you don't sell your silver? If you need to, that's what it's for. So if you need to sell it, that's what it's for. And talking about silver, make sure that you go check out this Monday's video. I know I mentioned it on all my videos. Go check out my Monday's video, Enter to Win. On that video, if you enter to win, which is very simple, you don't have to go to any website or nothing. Just watch the video, give it a like, right? And then I give you instructions on how to enter to win. This last Monday's video, 5 ounces of silver. Okay, 5 ounces of silver for that video. So enter to win. The reason I say it so many times is because I always hope that someone enters that really needs it and wins it. All right. And I really want to be able to give that away because it was given to me to give to all of you from one of our channel sponsors, Alpha Omega Gold. All right. So let's go ahead and start off and take a quick look at what silver is doing right now in the futures market. All right. That's a key word, the futures market. Let's see. Let me go ahead and bring this in real quick. I'm very slow at this because I still haven't got my step back share screen. There we go. And if you hear any barking in the background, that's Lulu, because anytime she hears a little bit of noise, she has to let me know what's going on. So, all right, so here we go. And do me a favor, ladies and gentlemen, can you let me know while I'm looking at this, while I've got this up here on the screen, can you all let me know by giving me a 1 that you can hear me loud and clear? So go ahead and give me a 1 if you can hear me loud and clear. That way I know that I'm not just talking to the wall like I was during our last live stream. So I really appreciate it if you can help me out like that. All right, so I'm getting 1s all over. Okay, so I figured it out. If I'm going to share my screen with you, I have to leave myself up here, even if it's in a small screen, so that I can still be able to talk to you. So I want to show you real quick what silver is doing. Now, granted, when I put that video out telling you about you have to protect your wealth 5-6 days ago, silver was at $57.42 roughly on the futures market. This is the futures market. And today, right now, it's sitting at just a little bit over $64 per ounce, which means that if you would have purchased silver last week, let's say last Friday or Saturday, you would have already regained the premium that you paid on the silver that you purchased. And I want to go ahead and talk a little bit about why this is such a big deal. It's not just the price of silver, it's what's about to happen to the price of silvers and commodities. Okay, the price of silver and commodities is getting ready to skyrocket. Am I saying tomorrow? Not necessarily, but in the coming months and absolutely by this time next year, inflation would have taken a foothold that people aren't going to even recognize what the dollar is anymore because they're going to devalue it so much. I didn't pull a clip of this. You can definitely go and take a look at the conference that Jerome Powell gave from the Federal Reserve as to what they're doing with rate. Key thing that he mentioned that he didn't really admit to, but those of us that are in the know, we know exactly what he meant. First of all, he went ahead and knocked rates down by 0.25% or 25 basis points. Now, whenever the Federal Reserve does that, it only affects one thing. It affects their lending. So whenever they do overnight repos and such to banks that need liquidity, that's what it really affects. It doesn't really affect the market. What some people don't understand is that the Federal Reserve doesn't really influence the market when it brings down or brings up interest rates. It's the market itself that adjusts interest rates to what they are. Because the way that interest rates are adjusted, let's say, for example, for mortgages, it's usually using the 10-year bond. And in order for those rates to go up and down, that's determined by who's buying those bonds. Are people buying those bonds, or are institutions buying those bonds enough so to keep the interest rate down? That's what determines the rate in the market. Now, one way that the Federal Reserve can determine rates in the market, in the bond market, is by doing exactly what Jerome Powell just said that they are going to start doing. He didn't call it quantitative easing because they have to save face. But in addition to him stating that they're dropping 0.25% on the interest rates, he also stated that they were going to start purchasing short-term bonds. And that is the definition of quantitative easing. And this is just the beginning, ladies and gentlemen. The last time they did quantitative easing, they said that they printed $700 billion in order to save the financial system, when in fact it was more than 15, 16, 17 trillion dollars that they printed. Now, what do you think they're going to have to do now? This is just the beginning of a commodities, I guess what I would call super cycle. And silver is part of it. And the thing is that silver and gold, they haven't even begun. And let me go ahead and share my screen with you one more time so that I can explain to you where I see silver going in the short term, which my first prediction has already come to pass. But I want to show you where the second one is. And then after that, I'll tell you what I think. Ladies and gentlemen, do your own research. I'm not a financial advisor. I am an amateur technical analysis and an amateur when it comes to this. But for some reason, what I've been talking about, and a lot of other people have been talking about, due to the technicals and fundamentals, things are coming to be that we've talked about not that long ago. So let's go ahead and add this back up. And I just want to show you something real quick. So if you take a look at this line right here, let me get rid of this. All right. Let me go like this. I want to make it easier for you all to see. Okay. There we go. So if you take a look at this yellow line right here, I put this yellow line down back in late November. So not even a month ago, I put that yellow line down, and I shared this with you on a live stream, I believe. And I told you, okay, so this right here is my target for silver in the short term, meaning like before the end of this year. And it was sitting at about 62, 62 and a half roughly. And as you can see right now, silver is sitting at about just shy of $64. So that's already come to be. So then I went ahead and drew a trend line from down here going up, which let's see, can I make this a little bit better? Let me see. Boom. That's close enough right there. I went ahead and drew a trend line, and I told myself, okay, so if silver keeps going up, let me make sure I'm still there. Okay. If silver keeps going up, as long as it doesn't close on a daily below this trend line, then the trend is upward. And it could be may hit this trend line or go below it intraday or something like that. But as long as it doesn't close below this trend line on a daily, it means that we're still going upward. Now, is it the end of the world if it closes below this trend line on daily? No, because what it will be doing is it will be pulling back a little bit, which will be a blessing. All right. I believe that silver eventually, after it runs out a little bit of steam, which I don't think it's in the near future, to tell you the truth, that when it pulls back, it's going to probably pull back a good 10, 20%. And that's what's called shaking out the leaves, shaking the tree leaves. It's meaning it's shaking the hands that are weak from the market. Just like a few weeks ago, silver was in the 40s or so. People were selling their silver like crazy because they thought that that's it. That's it. I'm not going to hold on to this. It's definitely going to have to go down. Those were the leaves being shaken off the trees. But what they didn't realize is that silver is not in just an investor market, in a retail market, like the ones that you and I interact with when we go to a coin shop or we go to SD Bullion or Alpha Omega Gold and get some physical silver. It's also a commodity as an industrial metal that is needed very badly. And in addition to that, one of the fundamentals behind silver is that it's running out, because it's been suppressed and manipulated for so very long. All right. The big institutions that really need it are running out. The corporations that build stuff that really need it, they need it, or else they're not going to be in business. So they have to buy it. And right now, they're buying it at such a rate that refineries are having to shut down because they can't get enough silver in right now, or they cannot produce the silver. They cannot refine the silver fast enough to provide it to places that are wanting to buy physical from them. So whenever there is a shortage on supply, what happens to the price of things? Of course, it's going to go up. That's just basic economics. So I believe that in the short term, silver is going to go a little bit higher, but don't be surprised if it goes lower, if it takes a 10 or 20% dump. In my opinion, that would be a blessing in disguise, because that would be an opportunity for those that are in the know about the technicals and especially the fundamentals, that it's just a period so that you can go and buy some on sale and have some actual physical with you instead of having paper. I wouldn't recommend anything, but if I were to, I would say don't hold on to paper silver. Don't hold on to a piece of paper that promises 400 plus people the same 1 ounce of silver that exists, because that's what the paper market is. And that's why the system is breaking, because people or institutions, they are standing for delivery. They're telling the COMEX, hey, I have a contract for 5,000 ounces of silver or whatever it may be. I think the contracts are 5,000 ounces each. I have a contract for 5,000 ounces of silver where only about 1 to 1.5 real ounces are being held by the COMEX. Well, they're saying, I want my 500 ounces. And the COMEX is, wait a minute, you actually want the physical? And in the background, they're going, what are we going to do? The system is starting to break. And I can't say that it will be a good thing for everyone, because what this is indicating, what the price of gold and silver is indicating to me, is the inflation in the price of things that is yet to come. It's why I always say, get your preps first. If you have excess wealth, then look into preserving some of it in precious metals. I don't see gold and silver, although some people can, because I believe it has enormous gains left to make. But the way that I see gold and silver is not as a way to get rich. It's just as a way to keep the banks and government out of your labor, out of what it took you to earn that money to, or that fiat currency to convert into gold and silver, and not adulterate it by stealing it from you via inflation, right? So I don't consider it a way to get rich. However, I believe that the gains that we have to make in order to just catch up with the inflation stated by the CPI, this is stated by the government, not real inflation, the fake numbers that they use. We have hundreds of dollars to go in order to just catch up to inflation as stated by the government. Now, if we were to catch up on the nominal price of silver to real inflation, I know you're going to call me crazy, but a lot of people were calling me crazy back in 2018 or 19, saying that Bitcoin would go to over $100,000. All right. I think silver will eventually be in the thousands of dollars, only if this same monetary system stays in place. They could change the monetary system where we can have a deflationary event, but the main picture to keep your eye on is that whether the nominal price of silver or gold go up or down is not what matters. That's just showcasing to you what is happening to the dollar or whatever currency it is that you transact in. Because silver and gold, it never changes. It's the same molecule. It's the same element on the periodic table. It's the same weight and never changes. The only thing that changes the nominal price of silver and gold is the strength of the dollar or whatever currency you interact in. So as long as you count your wealth or excess wealth in ounces, that's what really matters, because an ounce today is going to buy you what an ounce 5 years ago bought you, if not more. I had a friend come over. Before I show you where I think that silver is going to go in the, I would say the midterm, in the next, I would say 3, 6, 9 months or so. Let me tell you a quick story about a friend that I had come over yesterday. He came over and he says, yeah, I just left the coin shop and I got some junk silver. And I'm like, really? Oh, cool. So he takes out a little baggie and he shows it to me. And there's a little baggie about this much in it, not a lot. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's nice. And he says, that's $600 right there. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, that's $600 right there. And he had a small bag. It wasn't big. And I'm like, $600. And he's like, yeah, no, really it's about $598. He even showed me the receipt. And I'm like, they must have made a mistake. I'm like, I know Jerry and Dick over at Alaska Rare Coins, I'll trust those guys with my life. That's how much I trust them. I'm like, they must have made a mistake. So I was like, let's count them. So we counted them. And I'm like, what is the price of junk right now? Ladies and gentlemen, I remember about 6 years ago, something like that, 5 years ago, I remember complaining to Jerry at the coin shop because the face value of junk silver was $13, meaning that $13 in fiat currency notes would buy you the equivalent of $1 face value of junk silver, like 4 quarters. Today, the face value of junk silver, well, for 1 quarter, he paid $11.41, which means that $1 face value today is upwards of $45, $46, almost 300% more on top of what it used to be just a few years ago. So when I say that gold and silver could add value, could add wealth to what you started with when you purchased it, absolutely. And it's because it's been so manipulated for so long. So where do I see silver going in the short term? And remember, I'm not a professional at this. I just love talking about this because gold and silver, to me, real things, are ways that you can protect yourself from having governments and banks strip you of your wealth that you had to work hard for. So where I see it, just from doing some basic, and I mean, this is really basic technical analysis, ladies and gentlemen. I've shown you in other videos how I did this, but this is very simple. Let me go ahead and move this over. Let's see. There it is right there. So you see this line right here? Let me bring this down. This line right here is the bottom of a cup and handle. I mean, is this line right here, from here to here, this represents the length from the bottom of our 40-year cup and handle to the top. And the thing is that some people may think, well, once we get to the top of this line right here, that's going to be the end. No, ladies and gentlemen, that's when the new bull market begins. So in my opinion, the bull market in precious metals, it hasn't even started. It's going to start once we reach 95 or higher. Once we get up to $95, all right, and we break that, I would say probably $100. Once we get to above $100 silver, and the reason I say 100 is because 100 is a very big psychological barrier, right? People, once we get near 100, once we get to about 95, 94, people are going to do the same thing that they did a couple months back. They're going to start selling like crazy, okay? Because they're like, there's no way that this thing's going to go any higher. But what they don't understand is that this price right here is the completion of that cycle. And now the beginning of the next cycle will begin. And in my opinion, that's when silver is really going to take off, not just for a month or two, but for years. I see this bull cycle in silver and gold going for at least another 4 to 5 years. So that's why I say that if you have to sell silver or gold now because you need to, go ahead. But if you don't have to, absolutely don't. And don't be afraid, once again, when you see that we have a retracement down by 10 or 20%. That's actually a really good thing. That is a very bullish thing to happen during such a fast uptrend as we've been having for the last several months now. All right, so that's where I stand on silver. Now, let me explain to you. And you may say, well, AP, what are you talking about that silver's gone past $70 when you yourself just showed us that right now silver's only at about $64? Why you got to be clickbaiting us, AP? We got work to do, right? Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question about this. The price that we're looking at here, let me go ahead and bring this a little closer. That way, hopefully you can see this all right, you know? All right. So this price that we're looking at here, $64, $64.08 or so. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the spot price. All right. Can you buy silver at $64 right now? Anyone here, can you go to a coin shop? Can you go to SD Bullion? Can you buy silver for $64 per ounce? Absolutely not, because that is the spot price. That is not the market price. Let me show you what the market price is. Let's see if we can do this again. Give me a second. I'll come back to that here in a minute. Share screen. Okay. Okay, so if you take a look at this right here, if you want to go buy yourself some silver right now, these are the cheapest coins that SD Bullion sells. These are your basic round. They're not even coins. They're just rounds. Okay, they're rounds. So they are generic 1 ounce or 1 troy ounce silver rounds that you can buy pretty much anywhere. Take a look at this. If you want to buy one, you're going to be paying $71 for one coin. If you want to buy between 20 and 99, you're going to be paying $70.58 for one coin, per coin. If you want to buy 100 to 499, you're still paying above $70 per 1 troy ounce. So in my opinion, silver has definitely broken the $70 mark, because anyone here that can buy silver at 64 bucks, I would be saying back up the truck. And if you want to take a look at what Eagles are selling for, let's take a look at Eagles. Silver Eagles right there. Eagles. So if you want to buy coins instead of just regular rounds, you're going to be paying $72 per ounce to buy a silver eagle. I actually think that I would rather buy silver eagles instead of rounds for just an extra $1 on the premium. So silver has definitely gone over $70 an ounce, and eventually this is going to hit 100. Come here, come on, get over here. Come on, you're fine. Sorry about that. Hey, stop it. Get down here. Go on. So I hope you understand that. What is this? Yeah, I hope you understand that, Kathy. That when I talk about that silver, this is the market price for silver. Right now, one silver eagle is $71. One basic generic round of 1 troy-ounce silver is $70. So even though the futures market is saying that we're at $64 on spot price, that is the spot price. You can't buy. Lulu, stop it. Hey, stop it. Get over here. Just a second. Get over here. Get down here. Come here. Get down here. Lay down. Lay down. Lay down. Every time that she hears a little sound, she's a good guard dog. I can say that much. I ought to probably deduct her expenses on my taxes, because I think you can deduct a guard dog's expenses on taxes. But even though she knows that it's my son and Michael up there, she still barks whenever she hears a sound. But like I was saying here, so that I don't get off track, right now is $70+ an ounce. And the reason I'm saying that, I'll say it for the 10th time in case someone just joined in, is because that's what you're going to pay for it. And if you're lucky enough to buy silver at $64 an ounce, which is the spot price, it's the price that refineries are selling it at, to wholesalers, etc., then I would back up the truck. Okay, let's go ahead and take a quick look at two other things on the chart that tells me that silver still has a lot of room to go upward, and that gold itself does also, because gold just did something today. It depends on where it breaks, right? It depends on where it ends the day and the week, but it just did something today that I was looking at yesterday with my buddy. And let me show you that chart real quick. Let's see, share screen. I have to do this every time because I didn't want to get the expensive StreamYard. So let's go back to this chart right here. Look at that. It's showing 64.17 right now. All right, so let me see if I can make this just a little bit bigger for you all. This is about as big as I can make this. Go ahead and do this. Okay. Boom. All right. So let's go to gold real quick. And by the way, what's Bitcoin at? Bitcoin is at 90,200, but I believe that Bitcoin's bull run is probably over. I think we're going to have a crypto winter like we always do every cycle that it's had since. So it's time for gold and silver and commodities to explode, where I believe we will be having a crypto winter. And look at this. This is another thing. Look at the Dixie. This is the dollar. If that dollar, if this closes under the 200 at the end of the week, the dollar is going to continue to drop, which is going to put even more upward pressure on precious metals and commodities. And this, ladies and gentlemen, the Dow Jones is nothing but a fake market. It does not represent the economy at all. And even if it did represent the economy, about 80 to 87% of the stock market is owned by about 10% of the people in the United States of America. It's owned by about 10% of the people, right? So the other 90% own the rest of the 13% or so of the stock market. So this, in my opinion, does not represent the economy, number one, and it does not represent the wealth of the people. It only represents the wealth of those that have been able to take advantage of the manipulation for all this time. But I'm not talking about the stock market here. I wanted to show you gold real quick because gold just did something that I think could get it going up. So if you take a look at this, I went ahead and drew this little triangle right here, right? And again, I'm not a professional trader. I'm not a professional analyst, so I'm not perfect, all right? And I could be 100% wrong. But I noticed that gold went ahead and broke above this line right here. See this line? It went ahead and broke above it. It's got a candle wick above that. So what happens is gold can either go above this line or go below this line. Okay, so it's been going kind of sideways for a while now, which is a good thing, but it can either go above this line or below this line. So if it goes above this line, it's going to be off to the races again, and we'll start a new chart, a new technical analysis on it. So gold is looking good as well. And I mean, how can gold not look good? You know, how can it not look good when the Fed just cut rates and also admitted, not by saying it, but they just admitted to starting quantitative easing again. So this time around, Jerome Powell did not say the word quantitative easing. When they actually say the word quantitative easing, it's because they've been doing it for months. All right, gentlemen, they're going to try to stay away from that word as much as they can. They'll probably say things like he did just now on that press conference he had. They'll probably say things like liquidity. We need to inject liquidity into the market. And what does that mean? That means that they're buying bonds from the banks after the banks buy it from the treasury, and they're creating new dollars out of thin air to pay the bonds for those, to pay the banks for those bonds that they just bought. That's quantitative easing. Okay, so let's take a quick look at this. This is very important. Look at the gold to silver ratio. First thing I take a look at, and for those of you that don't know what the gold to silver ratio is, it's how many ounces of silver does it take to buy 1 ounce of gold given the spot price. So right now it takes 66.7 ounces of silver in order to equate to 1 ounce of gold. And if you all remember, just a few months back, the ratio of silver to gold was over 100, and it's been dropping like a rock. I would call this a broken chart, meaning that it's got nowhere to go except for the direction in which it's headed right now. And you can see that this is the 200-day moving average right here. All right, 200-day moving average was at 88 ounces, which means what? It means that that's the average of the ratio of silver to gold for the last couple hundred days. And this right now, it's showing that it's well below the average. And what it really means to me is that if some crazy thing happens, it could retest that 200-day moving average, right? I wish that it would retest this 200-day moving average because it means that you can buy silver on the cheap. But right now, if a month ago, let's say, or 2 months ago, whenever it was 100, 100 to 1, if you would have taken an ounce of gold and traded it in for 100 ounces of silver, you could have gone ahead and rebought that same ounce of gold back for 67 ounces, let's say, and you would have been left with 30 or so ounces of silver after you repurchase your gold. And a lot of people play this game. It's not something that I like to play because I deal in physical. I don't play around with the paper market. All right, so that's what this means for those of you that maybe didn't understand it. So if you take a look at the ratio of gold to silver, and being that it's around 67 right now, the ratio is still 4 times plus higher than what the natural or average ratio has been for all of humanity, except for the last 100 years when they started manipulating the price. So this tells me that silver and gold still have a very long way to go, right? So let's go ahead and do this. And I hope that I'm explaining this in a way that you can all understand it. I try to explain it to you as simply as I understand it so that you can understand it the way that I see it through my eyes. So again, for those of you that joined in today, I really do appreciate you joining in, ladies and gentlemen, in this impromptu video. I just thought that I would catalog, on the internet, this historic day that we're having, not necessarily because of the price of silver, because what this represents to me is that the system that the rulers, all right, let me get serious now for a minute. The system that those money changers, bankers, governments, rulers that want to rule over our lives, their system is breaking. All right. Now, can they come out with this law or that law or that law? Well, guess what? Take a look at what's happening in the UK. The police, and there's a whole bunch of protests going on in the UK. And even the police told their government, we cannot contain it. There's too many people. So it doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter what they pass. When the people have finally had enough, we are going to stand together and say, no more. This is it. Their system is breaking. Unfortunately, whenever the system starts to break, what happens? Something bad happens throughout the world or within a country, that they get the people to take their eyes off of the right hand while they're going ahead and doing whatever they want with the left hand, or to keep their eyes on the right hand. Excuse me, you know how I am, so that they can do what they want with the left hand. All we have to do is we have to stay vigilant. We have to take a look around us, make sure that we're doing the things that we need to do today in order that tomorrow we can survive whatever they throw at us. And I believe that having your excess wealth in some kind of a commodity, especially precious metals, is a way that you will not only be able to survive what they throw at us, but that you will be able to thrive and prosper and be able to put yourself in a position where you can help your neighbor, your family, your friend, your community on when it's needed the most. And that's what I wanted to go ahead and jump in here for a few minutes. And I hope that those of you that came on here, because I said silver has just passed $70 an ounce, I hope that if you just came on here, you go ahead and rewind, because I explained to you exactly how it is $70 an ounce, and it's still at $70 plus an ounce if you want to buy some. If you don't want to buy any, or if you want to own it in paper where the silver doesn't really exist, it's $64 an ounce. But if you want to hold some in your hand, ladies and gentlemen, $70 an ounce. And I'll say this again, for those of you that weren't here, go watch my video from this Monday. Hey, listen, ladies and gentlemen, the best way that you can support me, of course, besides the like and the share and the leaving a comment and all that stuff, is just watch my videos, right? I mean, I try to put stuff out there that I think is very relevant, not only for what's going on now, but for what we can do in order to protect ourselves in the future and things like that. So I don't just pick news articles out of anywhere, and just say, oh, I have to do a video. I got to do a video. Let me just, okay, this is what, no. I take a look at stuff that I think is going to affect us in the future, and I talk about it. Sometimes those things aren't very popular, but at the same time, if you don't know about it, then you're not going to prepare for it. And that's what I'm into providing you with some information that you can use as actionable intel so that you can act on it now before you need it in the future. All right. So this Monday's video, by any chance, anyone that's here that's new, that hasn't come in, every Monday for the rest of this month, and I'm starting to run out, so it may not be as much per video, but it's still going to be, even if it's 3 ounces, that's a $200 bill. All right. This last Monday's video is 5 ounces. So make sure you go to this Monday's video and watch the video. The instructions are super simple. Anyone can just follow those simple instructions. I don't send you away from my site or anything. It's just right there. You don't have to do anything special, all right, except to leave a comment. And I provide you a code word during the video to leave in the comment. And to tell you the truth, I forgot what that darn code word is for this last video. But just go watch it. That's a way that you can support what I do, and I keep doing the stuff that I do. All right, so I do want to thank every one of you for your support on a daily basis, coming and watch my video. I actually have a little prepping video that I'm working on. I still have to edit it, that I may drop later on this afternoon or tomorrow or something like that. But I've got a whole bunch of prepping videos that I've got in queue. I'm just waiting for these things to come in so that I can test them and show them to you. All right. And these are things that I'm getting on the cheap. You know, I've been able to acquire a couple of things on the cheap that are about 1/3 the price of what they used to be because their patents ran out and now other companies are making them. So I think this is going to be a great opportunity for me to showcase some of those things for you so that you can get them now before they're 2 or 3 times more expensive than they are. But here I am blabbing away. Let me go ahead and say hello to just a few of you. And if you want to spend the next, I don't know, let's say about next 20 minutes or so chit-chatting, and if you want to ask any questions or leave any comments on the screen that you want me to share with the community, go ahead and put it all in bold, okay? Let me see, what do I got here? Hey, thank you very much, Scott. Thank you for gifting that. Very, very nice of you. Thank you, my friend. Okay. All right, so we have Shelly in the house. We have Rhonda. How you doing, Rhonda? John Cosmo, how you doing? Let's see, Tammy, how are you? Katrina, Kathy, Z-Max Hunters in the house. Yeah, SD Bullion is a good company to go through. And what I think is that eventually, as the price keeps going up, and the refineries are having trouble keeping up with demand, I think that places are going to start to run out of supply. And I believe that the very best place that you can go, let me tell you exactly why. Let me get this out of here. Let me get this out of here. That way it's not distracting me. Okay. Let me tell you why I think that finding a local coin shop to purchase your precious metals at is the best thing for you to do. First, you have to find one near where you live. All right, that's the first step. But the more important step is building a relationship with them. So if you find a precious metal store or a coin shop near where you live, you go in there, talk to them, ask them a few questions, in general about gold and silver, and maybe buy yourself a couple of dollars worth of junk silver, or an ounce of regular silver, an ounce round or a silver eagle, etc. Make a small purchase so you can try them out. Now, let's say that you make a purchase and you want them to check to make sure that it's real, that it's really 90% silver if it's junk, or if it's real 999 silver if that's what it is. They should have absolute problem with you saying, hey, can you show me how you make sure that this is real silver? They should have no problem showing you. They should have no problem putting that coin or that round or that 25-cent piece on a machine and showing you, see, when we put it on here, this is what it's supposed to show. If it falls in between these two brackets, it means that it is what it says it is. It's 999 pure silver. They should have no problem showing you. If they have a problem showing you how they check to see if it's real, I would go do business somewhere else. Okay? So you have to find one near you, find one that you can build a relationship with that will have no problem showing you what you have, what they're selling you, right? And then after that, you have a place that you can go back and forth to buy. And if you ever need to sell, you've already gained a relationship with that store or with that shop, and they'll more than likely have no problem selling to you or buying from you. Now, why is it best to buy physical from an actual coin shop? The reason is because a lot of the business that they do within their community. So let's say, for example, let's say I go to the coin shop right now and I'm like, hey, Jerry, I need to sell 100 ounces of silver. The spot price is $64 an ounce. Well, when they buy that, depending on their liquidity, depending on how much cash they have available to go ahead and buy from the community, would depend on whether they're going to go ahead and immediately turn around and sell it to a wholesaler or keep it in their stock. Let's say they were going to turn around and sell it to a wholesaler. Well, a wholesaler is going to pay them whatever they're going to pay them. They may say, well, right now we're paying $2 under spot. So in order for them to sell it to you, they're going to have to sell it to you for $3 or $4 under spot. People have to pay for shipping. They still have to pay for their lights. They have to pay for their light bill. They have to pay their salaries. So you're not going to get spot at it. However, and it depends on the supply and demand. If premiums are really, really high, who knows? You may get over spot on it, but it just depends on supply and demand. But where it's really, really good to buy from a local coin shop is that they buy it from the community. So they're not buying it with a premium attached to it. Meaning that if I go in there and I say, I want to sell 100 ounces of silver, the spot price is 64. If they offer me 62 for it, to me, that's fair. That's very fair to me because I know the process of which they have to go. But if I go in there and say, hey, I want to buy 100 ounces of silver, Jerry may just say, okay, hey, give me $2 over spot. Because he just bought it for $2. He's going to sell it for $2 over spot. He's making $4 on every ounce. And that's definitely going to keep the lights on and pay for him and Dick's salary, right? So if you go over there right now, let's say, and you're buying it for $66 instead of 64, right? Because he bought it at 62. $66, ladies and gentlemen, is a lot better than going to an online store and paying 71 for it. That's why I say that. And I know that I have a sponsor, Alpha Omega Gold, that deals with silver and all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to tell you how I truly feel. All right. And there are instances where you need to go ahead and work with people like Alpha Omega Gold. All right. If you have IRAs or if you're looking for a specific amount of a specific type, like some people only want American Silver Eagles for very good reasons. All right. Some people only want that. You may not be able to get that at a local coin shop, specifically that at whatever amount you want. So there's different uses for different vendors. But as far as a cost base, I think going to a local coin shop that you can trust, that you can, build a relationship with is the best thing to do because they're going to take care of you. I trust immensely. What if I were buying silver or gold right now, which I haven't been for a while, but if I were to go over there to buy silver or gold, when they sell it to me, I don't even bother asking them to check it because I already know that they check it when they bring it in, and I trust them. I have no reason whatsoever to not trust that they're treating me fairly, and in the right way. So that's why I would say that going to a local coin shop to get a little bit of physical every now and then is the best thing to do because more than likely, if you have a good owner that's running it, like Jerry and Dick are, they're going to take care of their community. I remember a few years back when premium on silver was like $9 an ounce or something like that. And I think that the price of silver was like $13 or $14 or something like that. And he was selling it for like $18 an ounce at that time. And I'm like, Jerry, why in the world are you selling at such a low premium? He was selling at a premium that was about half as much as what you can get it anywhere else, online or anywhere else. And he's like, well, I bought it at spot and I got to take care of my community. I'm not going to sell it for, for $9 over spot because I can. I'm selling it for $4 over spot because to me that's fair. I bought it at spot and I want to make sure that I take care of my community. So that's what you want to find. That's the first thing, first and foremost, what you want to find somewhere near you that you can do business with, that you can buy 1 ounce or 1,000 ounces, right? Something like that. Right. So that's what I would do if I had to do it all over again. So let me take a look. How much time we have? We have about another 10, 12 minutes. Let's take a look. Who is this? Garrett. How you doing, Garrett? We got all caps here. You have been a big help. Thank you. Hey, thank you very much. You know what? That means a lot to me. Tell you the truth. That really means a lot to me. Sometimes when I'm behind the camera here, I wonder if I'm making a difference. All right. And although, YouTube is what I do now. YouTube is what I do for a living now. Before it was a hobby. Now it's a living. So knowing that what I'm doing is actually adding value to you, I really appreciate you saying that. That's a big deal to me. So thank you very much. I mean, that means a lot. Let's see. James, how you doing, James? On the gas mask behind you, why the canister and the cartridge filters at the same time? Oh, I just put it up there for looks. I just put it up there for looks. However, I have extra canisters, all right, and extra filters for when they want to unleash whatever next nasty health crisis it is that they want to unleash on us. In my opinion, they have to have a major crisis. We're either going to get into a huge war, or there's either going to be a huge cyber attack, or there's going to be a very big health crisis that will be a lot worse than the last one. And I believe that these are actually really, really good gas masks, and they're pretty cheap. These things will do radiological, biological. They'll do what do you call it? VOS. What do you call it? Like fumes. They'll do smoke, and these things were only $20 a piece. Only $20 a piece for these things on Amazon. Hey, if you want to check it out, ladies and gentlemen, and you want to help me out when you do your Amazon shopping, please use my link. It doesn't cost you 1 penny more. It just takes 2 or 3 pennies out of Basil's pockets and sends it to me. Well, whatever, I don't have to pay in taxes on that. But I do appreciate if you use my link, because it really does help me out. But that's what these are. And these were a great deal, $20 a piece. And I bought an additional 4 canisters for it. They each come with a canister, and they come with the side filters as well. But they were $20 each. I bought an additional 4 canisters for I think it was like $10 per canister. But I put it on, and even with a beard, they sealed really well. I was surprised that they sealed with my beard, but they sealed really well, even with a beard. Let's see. Eyes to see. How are you? Rudy, is purchasing silver right off the shelf in a coin shop? Absolutely. I hope you were here when I was talking about how you should purchase silver. I believe a coin shop is the best way to go, especially if you're purchasing small amounts. But you have a relationship with those people. That way, if you ever have to sell it back, you have someone that you can trust that's not going to take advantage of you. Let's see. Linda Bop is in the house. How you doing, Linda? Good to see you. Who's that? Raven Wolf? I know I've already said hello to a lot of you. Let's see. Soul Kitchen, how are you? What will the price of silver be in the next 3 to 12 months? Now, remember, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say this again because I have to. I'm not a financial advisor. But I think that by this time next year, 100% silver will be over $100 an ounce, if not way more than $100 an ounce. I mean, I don't like to say things like this, on the internet, because because some people may get hurt. That's why I say you have to do your own research. If you're going to buy precious metals, it's not because you want to get rich off of it. It's not because you want to use it to put into silver today and buy a house with it tomorrow. That's not why. It's so that it can preserve your excess wealth. That extra money that you have at the end of the month, after you're done with living, take a percentage of it and put it into precious metals. I'm not a financial advisor, because that way you don't lose the purchasing power from that savings. To me, gold and silver, besides being real money, is a vehicle that you can use to save your wealth, your excess wealth, without the government being able to inflate away its purchasing power. All right. So in the next 12 months, in all reality, I think it's going to be a lot higher than $100 per ounce. I say between $90 and $100. But the truth of the matter is that although the technicals show that the real bull run is going to start at about $95, that's where it starts. We haven't even started the bull run yet, ladies and gentlemen. We're just playing a little bit of catch up. All right. The real bull run will start after it surpasses $95 or $100 an ounce. All right. I believe that by this time next year, it's going to be way over $100 an ounce. Okay. And it's just what I believe. Could I be 100% wrong because the money changers or governments do something crazy that will manipulate it down? I could. However, you can only manipulate nature and mathematics, which is part of nature, for so long. And right now, the manipulation that has taken place in gold and silver over the last 150 years, right? Silver specifically, 1873, right? That manipulation is coming to an end, because nature will only allow you to manipulate it as long as you can. And eventually it's going to run out. And right now, We're running out of runway for the ability for governments to be able to manipulate the price of gold and silver, especially silver. Why? Because whenever something is not as available, whenever the supply of something goes down and there's nothing that you can do to immediately replenish that supply, the price has to go up. It has to go up. The nominal price has to go up. Now, you have to remember that the price of precious metals going up, in one way, it's good to rejoice that the nominal price is going up, because now at least people are being given what they're supposed to be getting for that commodity that they invested in a long time ago, even though it shouldn't be an investment. Meaning that people are being made somewhat whole, or at least a little bit whole, for what they've gotten put in that. But a reason to not celebrate the price of gold and silver going up really, really high is because the price of gold and silver going up is an indicator, a lead indicator, that the inflation in the price of things, the inflation in the price that it's going to cost the average American to live, is also going to go up even higher than what it already has. So gold and silver doing what they're doing right now is telling me that the real reason why it's important to get some is because the price of everything is going to go up a lot more in percentages, right, than what it's already gone up. If you all think that the price of olive oil going from 15 bucks a liter, back in 2020 to $30 a liter today, if you think that's a lot, you just wait. You just wait, because things are going to get a lot more expensive. Life is going to become a lot more expensive to live here in the next year or two, definitely within the next couple of years. And what would you rather do? Would you? Oh, just a second, ladies and gentlemen. Let me go ahead and let me turn this down some. Give me a second. Sorry about that. Turn that down. Okay. That was my buddy calling me to tell me that silver is above 64. But man, I lost my train of thought. But anyways, if you thought that inflation was high now in the last 4 years or so, you just wait. It's going to get a lot higher. And that's why it's important to protect yourselves. Okay, let's see. Okay. Hey, isn't that good? Look at that. Look at that. And you bought from Jerry at about, let's say, $20 an ounce. You bought from Jerry, right? What has it done since then? It's gone up to 60, right? It's done exactly what it was meant to do. It's protected your purchasing power. And then in this case, it's giving you a little bit more, right? So it's done exactly what it's supposed to do. It hasn't made you rich, but it has protected the purchasing power of your excess wealth. That's exactly what it's supposed to do. Okay, let's bring it down. Let's see. I'm running out of time here. Let's see. I don't want to make it too long because I really don't want to scare anyone away from watching this. I think this is an important video. Let's see. Who is this? God's Blade. How are you doing? Welcome. Your advice on silver literally kept my pooch and I from becoming. Man, thank God. Don't make me cry, ladies and gentlemen. Don't make me cry on screen because, I'm an ugly crier. I'm an ugly crier. Trust me. All right. That's awesome. Let's see. This is a great question. What if they use metal to rug pull the people? You can't. Let me see. What's this? Yobi, you can't be rug pulled if you own physical. Okay, you cannot be rug pulled if you own physical. All right, because you have the actual thing that has the value in it. You can be rug pulled if you own ETFs or if you own futures on the stock market. Because let me tell you what, let's say that they did some kind of magic right now that dropped the price of silver to $30. Who's going to sell their silver for $30? And who will? Anyone here? If tomorrow they did some fuzzy math, right, and they dropped the price of silver to $30, tell me, someone here, let me know if you will sell your silver for $30. All right, let me know. Let me see. Mark Gutierrez, if you watch the beginning of the video, I'll show you how the price of silver is above $70 right now. Right now, the price of silver is above $70 because what you're looking at the stock market, what you're looking at is the spot price. But let me know, and I'm not shaming you or anything like that, okay? I just want to make the point. But let me know if you can find any silver right now. Can you go anywhere right now and buy silver for $64 an ounce? All right. So the price of silver has broken $70 an ounce, because you can't buy it for less than 70. Unless you're lucky enough to have an awesome coin shop like I do near you, where they charge a bit of a less premium than what all of these internet services do. So yeah, the price of silver has definitely broken 70. Let's see, man, you know what? I love talking about this stuff. I really do. I love talking about, this. And it's not because it's money, right? Because the love of money, it's not good. If that's what you think is important, man, I hope that you change your mind before you leave this world, right? Because you ain't going to be able to take it with you at all. All right. So, but I love talking about this mainly because I want to encourage people to learn more about it. Because I think if the next generation of children that are coming up, if they know about what real money is, if they know about what a hoax, what a Ponzi scheme the Federal Reserve note is, maybe there will be change in the next generation. And our children, when we leave this world, we can leave our children with a world that is more free, that doesn't have government controlling so much of our lives. Because it all comes down to money, ladies and gentlemen. God left us real money so that we can trade value fairly. That's why he left us real money, because we need money. We need money in order to trade, because we all have different talents. And a concrete pourer can't go and pour Costco a square foot of concrete so that he can get a couple of packs of eggs. No, so you need to have a medium of exchange that is generalized to everyone in the economy, that has real value, that cannot be manipulated. And the dollar was the Federal Reserve note, what we call the dollar. It was created to do exactly that. They knew exactly what they were doing, even if it was 112 years ago. They knew exactly what they were doing. And Woodrow Wilson has pretty much forsaken the American people in order for bankers to have control over our money in our country. That's pretty. I'm paraphrasing it, but that's pretty much what he said. So he knew what he was doing. FDR knew exactly what he was doing when he confiscated the gold and then revalued it, effectively increasing the inflation of the price of things for regular people to buy by 69% overnight. He knew exactly what he was doing. What's his name? Nixon knew exactly what he was doing when his Secretary of State went over to Saudi Arabia and says, hey, let's go ahead and make the petrodollar. Because if we do that and we decouple gold from the Federal Reserve note, if we decouple it, if we take away that 40% coupling that it has, we'll be able to print as much money as we want, and we'll be able to go to all the wars that we want, and we'll be able to take over the world. Well, how did that work out, ladies and gentlemen? That didn't work out very well. Just take a look around now, what's going on in the world. A lot of it has to do with the creation of fiat currency and the implementation of the Federal Reserve note. It was made for one reason, and it was played out over 100+ years. OAP, how can you say that they planned that 100+ years ago? They did, right? Read the book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. They knew exactly what he was doing. What's his name? Keynes. I forget his first name, but the father of Keynesian economics. There's a quote of his that I read once where he said something like, yeah, I know that this system is unjust and I know that it's going to fail, but by the time that it does, I'll be long gone. They've known this all along. And the more people that understand this now, the more people that prepare, the more people that are able to cross into that new paradigm, which is not going to happen for another, I think, 3 to 5, 6 years. Okay. But you have time to prepare for that. Things are going to get worse little by little by little as the years go by before they get better. But when they get better, they're going to get better for everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Well, those of us that can see what's coming and those of us that can prepare, not only can we help ourselves, with being able to leave real wealth to our children and the knowledge that they'll need in order to be free. But we can also use some of that wealth to do what I feel is the right thing to do. And not everyone has to do it. All right. It's to be charitable. It's to be charitable to our communities and to make sure that you can help make a difference in the community that you live in. Because the better off that your community is where you live, the better off that you will be, and the better off that your children and your family would be. I feel that that's just as important. So yeah, this system is coming to an end. It's not going to end tomorrow, and they're going to fight it as hard as they can. And that's why you have to keep preparing. Look, $20 for a gas mask. Can you imagine paying $20 for a gas mask 10 years ago or 15 years ago? You would have been paying $300-400 for something like this. $20 for a gas mask. Do I ever want to use it? I hope I never, ever, ever have to use it. But let me tell you what, I know that this thing right here is a heck of a lot better than putting a paper or a face diaper on, because the government says that doing that and staying 6 feet apart is going to save your life, when they already know that it doesn't work. Well, I think that the next health crisis that's coming up, the next one that they unleash on us, if they don't unleash a cyber attack or a financial crisis first, it's going to be a real one where you're going to want to stay home, not because they told you to stay home, but because you're going to be scared enough to stay home. So stay prepared. Get those things that you may need, but more importantly, get those things that you know for a fact that you are going to need. I'm going to do a video here later on, I don't know, maybe in the next week or two, showing people how they can literally prepare for a year living in a small apartment. Because I live in a small apartment now, and I'm looking around. I'm like, wait a minute, I can easily prep for a year in this apartment. There's plenty of room. It's just a lot of people don't know how to use that room. Hey, how you doing, busy girl? Good to see you. But anyways, I won't say too much about that because I haven't even started that. But that's something that I want to do in order to help people that think they can do it just because of where they're at. Let's see. Who is this? Rodolfo Rodriguez. How do you like that, Rodolfo? I'm rolling that R. I still remember how to roll that R. Let's do it again. Rodolfo Rodriguez. Been watching for some time and just get so much. Thank you very much. You guys are gonna start making me blush. No, but thank you. In all honesty, thank you so much. And thank you very much, Don Walker. Thank you for becoming a member of the Ladies and Gentlemen's Club. Thank you very much. Let's see. You know what? Confiscation, I don't think that's going to be a solution for the government this time around like they did back in the 30s. I really don't. And the reason is because go to the streets. All right. Who is this? Yobi. Yeah, Yobi, you got great questions, man. Great questions. Go to the street one day and ask 10 people. You'll be lucky if you get one that says that they do. And that one that says that they do own gold and silver, they'll probably have a gold chain or something like that. But they won't understand why it is that you should own gold and silver, right? So I believe that maybe 1 to 3% of private Americans, retail investors like us, maybe 1 to 3% in the U.S. has gold or silver. Now, if the government does confiscate, I believe they'll do it in one of two ways. They'll probably put out a price and say, hey, we really need silver. They'll come on and say, hey, listen, this is what's happened. This is why the price of silver has gone up so high. We really need it. We need it for munitions. We need it for technology, etc. And they'll buy it from you at market price or a little bit higher than market price, right? And you'll have an option on whether you want to do it or not. I don't think they'll make it into a law. But what I think that they will do when it comes to confiscation is if it gets bad enough, they will nationalize gold and silver mines. They will nationalize any places that have large stocks of gold and silver. All right, that's what I think that they can do. Will they tax you out of oblivion? They can if they want to. That's a way to confiscate your gold and silvers, to tax it very heavily. They can if they want to, but ladies and gentlemen, even during the Great Depression, even during the confiscation of 1933, I think it was only like 25 or 30% of people that actually turned in their gold when they confiscated the gold back in 33, right? There's something that exists that they gave it a bad name so that it can sound like a bad thing, but really they should change the name to free market instead of black market. A black market exists everywhere in the world. And whenever governments do something that is not just, and the people can't change that via the government, using the government like they're supposed to, right? Change laws and stuff. When the people can't change that, they create their own market. Take a look at Argentina, and this was several years ago. I'm not sure if it's still going on, but during one of the times where Argentina was having a very high inflationary period, which in a way they still are, but not as much as it was before. Their dollars, or their pesos over there, I think they're called pesos over there, they were pretty much worthless. People were getting paid from their jobs on the half day. So they would work a half of a day and ask their boss for payment for that half day's work, so that at lunchtime they can go out and buy stuff before their currency devalued even more by the next day. That's what they were doing. They were getting paid on the half day and on the dailies. And as soon as they got paid, they were going out to spend that money, because they knew for a fact that the next day that money was going to buy them 20, 30, 40% less than what it bought them the day before. What did they do? They came up with a solution. They created a market, a really big market, like a flea market or like a bazaar or like a farmer's market. They created a market where you brought in your stuff that you wanted to sell, and they created coupons. They created like little paper dollar bills that you can only use in that market. Now that's a black market. It was outside of the preview of the government, and there was no taxes or nothing. So humans usually come up with stuff that they need in times of need. And if that ever happened, there would definitely be a black market, and people would still be able to use their gold and silver, only because it's let's say they do a confiscation. Only because it's happening here, it doesn't mean that it's not valuable in other countries. Take a look at Venezuela. In Venezuela, people go across the Colombian border on a daily with what? They go across there with American dollars, and they buy Colombian goods, and they bring them back, and then they sell them, and then they convert that money to American dollars, and then they go over there and buy Colombian goods, and they do the same. And they do the same thing with gold and silver in Venezuela. They've been doing that for a while now, because that's one of the ways they can survive. And talking about Venezuela, they're actually doing a lot better in Venezuela now than what they have been in the past. And what I've noticed is that the reason they're doing better is because their government is allowing them to have a free market. There's towns over there where they're flourishing, but what you notice is that POWELL without government intervention. So as soon as they started allowing people to have a free market instead of 100% socialist, things started getting better. And I hope that they keep getting better for them. Okay, great question. What's the advantage of silver eagles over silver rounds? Well, there's a couple of advantages that I can tell you right now. So silver eagles, if you go to, let's say, trade in for fiat currency, silver eagles, you can trade in up to 1,000 ounces, I believe, and it does not have to be reported to the IRS. So if you take 1,000 silver eagles and you go trade it in at a coin shop, or you go trade it in at a pawn shop for fiat currency, that pawn shop or coin shop, they do not have to do any paperwork to inform the IRS that you traded that money in. So there's no record that you received that cash for those coins, right? Silver eagles. Now, if you take in rounds, like silver rounds, I believe it's $10,000. So whereas, let's say 1,000, or let's just say 1,000 to make it easy. Let's say 1,000 1-ounce American silver eagles would net you around, let's just say $60,000, right? Or $600,000, right? They don't have to report that. Even though you're getting $600,000, they don't have to report that, because it's not more than 1,000 ounces, right? But if you take 1,000 ounces of just generic rounds, which is the same amount of silver in it, and you go ahead and trade it in for $600,000, they have to report that, because it's not legal tender that you're trading in. And silver eagles are legal tender, right? I may be a little bit off on the numbers or such, but that's one of the big advantages. Another big advantage is that, let's say that you're traveling across borders, from one country's borders to another. You can take with you X number of silver eagles, as long as they don't total up to $10,000, right? Because a silver eagle in the United States of America is legal tender in the amount of $50, or excuse me, $1, right? So you can literally take a Silver Eagle, which is $1 legal tender in the US, and go spend it at Walmart. They have to take it. It's a $1 bill. Would you ever do that? Absolutely not. But you don't have to claim if you had let's see, 100 ounce, let's say you had 200 ounces of Silver Eagles and you were traveling to Dominican Republic. So you have to claim anything over $10,000, right? Well, 200 ounces of Silver Eagles in nominal terms in the market, you can get more than $10,000 for it, but it's legal tender. It's the same thing as if you had 2,000 $1 bills. You don't have to claim that. And you don't have to claim the 2,000 ounces of Silver Eagles because they're each legally $1 a piece that you can actually spend as $1. So I would say that that's two of the big reasons why I think Silver Eagles are better. So if I'm going to buy an ounce of this or an ounce Silver Eagle, if the premiums are pretty close, like if they're within $1 of each other, I'm definitely going to get the Silver Eagles, right? Usually, historically speaking, that hasn't been the case. Usually Silver Eagles have a much higher premium than a regular generic round. But right now, looking at SD Bullion, Silver Eagles and regular rounds are like within $1 apart. At least when I first checked, when we first started the live stream. Man, Moby asked another, I think you asked another good question, Moby, but I'm not sure exactly. Dumping, if you're saying that a way that they can manipulate the price down is to dump, the only thing that they can dump is paper because there's no physical to dump. Yeah, JP Morgan right now, they have around 750 million ounces of physical silver right in their vault. Do you really think they're going to dump that physical silver in the market and not have a chance to recapture it? When there's only between 2 and 4 billion ounces of silver above ground in the entire world, and JP Morgan is holding on to about 25% of it, let's say, or 20% of it. Do you really think that they're going to dump that physical? Negative. They are going to keep that in their vault and they are going to go long with that because they know that the game is about over. Okay, they're not going to be dumping it. And if they, like I said before, if they do dump silver in the market in the form of paper, who here is going to sell their silver for $30 an ounce or $40 an ounce? I know I wouldn't at all. Okay, let's see. I'm having, all right, Linda Bob, have a great day. I'm pretty far behind here. What time is it? We're a little bit over what I wanted to stay, but there's enough of you good people here still asking questions, and I'm having a great time doing this, so I might as well stay. Let's see. James says, back when gold was $3,500 an ounce, I traded 200 ounces of silver for 2 Krugerrands. I think I did. I guess it depends on what it was, back then. I don't have that in front of me. But as long as you have the metal with you, I think you're fine. Let's see. Yes. In the early 70s, actually, it still is. Stormy Kurtz, the price of gold at the that's being held at the Treasury is still $42.22. That's another thing that we can get into. If the government wants to revalue the price of the nominal price of gold, it can. If it wants to inject a big chunk of liquidity into the market, or if it wants to something that which is what FDR did. That's what FDR did. He needed liquidity. He needed a whole bunch of money so that he can hire people with their own money, even though they didn't know it, that they were working for their own money that got confiscated from them. He created inflation to fund the Great New Deal by revaluing gold from $20.67 to $35. He created that money out of thin air by revaluing gold, right? And the government can do the same thing right now. If Trump wanted to right now, he could say, okay, we're going to revalue gold to $20,000 an ounce. And overnight, the Treasury would have an extra $5.5 trillion or something like that he can use to pay down debt or to get rid of our deficit or whatever. But it would be an additional $5 or so trillion worth of new cash that never existed in the market. right? It would be very inflationary for everyone, right? Some people think, oh, that's a great thing. They can revalue gold to $20,000. It'd be all right for people that held gold, sure. But what about everyone else? Remember, I told you earlier that only about, I think, 1 to 3% of the people in the US hold gold or silver. So it would be very inflationary because there would be a whole bunch of cash in the system that was never there. But it's totally legal, to tell you the truth, for him to do that. And he may still do that here, in the future. You guys are asking some really awesome. I think this should be the time that I do my live streams, because it's almost like we're in high school, right? Going back and forth and talking about things that have relevance. Hey, that's 100% right, Ayobi. I see that you were answering a question. Nothing in life turns out to be over prepped, and that's 100% right. I've always said one is none, two is one, but 27 is a heck of a lot better. Who doesn't agree with me? Double Dingus is in the house. Hey, Double Dingus, have you gotten your package yet? Did you get that emergency box yet? I'm wondering. Let's bring it on. Oh, look at that. Okay. Hey, that's a great price. I don't understand why gasoline in Alaska is still so expensive. I mean, gasoline up here, the last time I filled up was like $3.46 or something like that. I'm like, man, everyone's telling me in the lower 48 is $1.80, $1.90. I'm like, why in the world are we still paying up here that much for it? And it's because we have to import our gasoline, unfortunately. Isn't that funny that Alaska, we have all these oil reserves. We don't even have a refinery where we can make gasoline. Now, they do have a refinery here, thank goodness, that makes heating oil and diesel, which is great. All right. But we don't have a refinery up here where we can make gasoline. Right now, let me see what the temperature is. Right now, it's negative 31. It's negative 31, Braddock. Yeah, you're down by Anderson or Eielson. I'm not sure where Anderson is. But yeah, it's negative 31 outside. It's supposed to get to like negative 40, I think, tonight. And then tomorrow afternoon, it's supposed to start snowing. It's going to snow for like a day. So we'll see what it is. The price of diesel up here, somebody asked what the price of diesel is up here. I didn't catch that. But the price of diesel is about the same price of gasoline, 50, 370, something like that. Let's see. Tatiana asked, what do I think would happen to the price of gold if the U.S. revalued it? I think it would go above what it's been revalued at. It all depends on the market. Okay. It's all going to depend on the actual market. Right. I honestly do think that silver is the place to be. I think that is silver, ladies and gentlemen. And it's like, I forgot what video it was, but silver is going to be the story of 2026. That's going to be the financial story, at least of 2026. Some other things may happen that are really bad because, those in power want to stay in power. But I think silver is the place to be. Go watch the beginning of the video. Stone Hombre. Go watch the beginning of the video. But do you understand that, ladies and gentlemen? Check this out. Look. And that's how we're conditioned. We are conditioned to think, in the way that it is put out to us. But it's like, for example, let's say right now that I told you, let's say right now that you called, I don't know, Company X, and they make canned corn, right? They make canned corn. And then you call a farmer who grows the corn, and you ask the farmer, hey, how much do you sell your corn to Company X so that they can clean it and cook it and can it, etc. Right? And the farmer says, well, if we brought it down to the micro level and you wanted to know what it would cost for me to to sell enough corn to a producer to make 1 can of corn, it would cost about 2 cents. Right? A farmer sells corn to a producer, someone that not produces it, but processes it. Maybe 2 cents, maybe 1 penny for the amount of corn that goes in that can. But is that what the corn cost you? When you go buy that corn at the store, it's in the can, it's been cleaned, it's been processed, it's been stamped by the USDA saying, yep, this is not going to harm you, whatever. Do you pay 1 or 2 pennies for that can of corn? No, you don't. Why? Because premium is what gives any manufactured or produced or processed product is what gives it mobility. Without that premium added on top of the price of what it cost that corn to be grown, you would never get that corn. You would never get it. So is the price of corn, when you go buy a can of corn at the store, is it 2 pennies? Because that's how much the farmer gets when he sells it to the producer. Is it 2 pennies? No, it's not. It's whatever it is you're paying for it at the store. Right? That's the price of corn. Let's go ahead and do the same thing with silver. Right now, the spot price of silver, what it costs the farmer to make that silver, right? Or in other words, what it costs the miner to get that silver out of the ground is $64 or $63.50, whatever it may be right now, since we started the live stream, right? That's the price of silver when they got it out of the ground. Same thing as 2 pennies or 1 penny is the price of corn that the farmer got for selling that corn to a producer or a processor to put that corn in a can so you can buy it. But can you go out right now and buy 1 ounce of silver for less than $70? You may, if you're lucky. And like I said, if you go to the beginning of the video, you'll understand exactly where I was getting at, right? I'll go over it a little bit now, not to be too verbose. That's a word that I learned on this channel, verbose. Somebody called me verbose. And I'm being verbose by saying the word verbose several times. But if you go to a coin shop right now, if you're lucky enough to have one near you that likes to take care of their community, they're able to buy silver from the community, usually at spot. And if they want, they can sell it to you at a couple dollars over spot, which will be below 70. But if you go anywhere right now, if you go to any online dealer, and I would say probably a lot of coin stores that are only in it for the money, you're not going to be paying less than $70 for an ounce of silver. So silver did break $70 today because there's places out there charging $70 for it. And the only reason that they would charge $70 for it is because people are willing to pay $70 for it. If not, the premium would come down, because premium is based on supply and demand. So let me take a look. I'm not going to put this on the screen because I already took it off. So right now, let me see. Let me refresh this real quick. Oh no, SD bullion is down. SD bullion is down right now, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go somewhere else. Let's go to JM bullion. Let's see what they have to say. Okay, so right now over at JM bullion, the spot price is $63.77. That's the spot price. That's what it costs the mines to get that silver out of the ground and get it refined, right? But let me see what they're selling it for. Let's go to an American Eagle. Excuse me. But in American Eagle right now, if you buy a whole bunch of them, you can buy them for $70.16. But if you only buy one, American Eagle, it's $74, right? If you buy 500 or more, it's $73. So like I was saying, yeah, the spot price is $64, but can you buy that for $64? Most people cannot. So silver is selling for above $70 an ounce right now. I hope that you understand that. At least that's where I stand. Yeah, SD bullion's under maintenance. I wonder why. There's probably a lot of people buying silver right now because they see what's coming, and that's why the price of silver is really above 70, because people are willing to pay above $70 an ounce for it right now. If they weren't willing to pay that, then they wouldn't be charging that. The premiums would go down. because premium is nothing but supply and demand. Hey, anyone that wants to sell silver right now at spot, let me know. Just kidding, just kidding. I'm not in the market. All right. Hey, if anyone has any questions or any comments, put it all in caps, ladies and gentlemen. All right, put it all in caps, so that I can see it. All right. Let me see. I'll try to stay a little bit longer. I mean, I'm having a blast. I'm having a blast. I love doing this. I do have a little bit of work to do today. I got a video that I have to edit, but that can wait. Having a good time right now. Yeah, isn't that right, Mario? How you doing, Mario? Good to see you. Nobody ever wants to buy silver when it's low. And that's why I believe in dollar cost averaging. I think dollar cost averaging is the way to do it. Let's see. Okay. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if I don't see anything in caps, then I'll probably start signing off because I don't want to waste your time. If you guys have questions or comments or anything you want to talk about, if there's something you want to talk about that's not silver, I have no problem. Okay, here they go. Let's see. Stone Hombre. I still have the first ounce I bought at $50.50. How long have you been buying silver? Wow, isn't that awesome? I haven't been buying that long. I wish I'd been buying that long. That would be awesome. Possibly a head and shoulder setting up. It could be. We could be getting a big head and shoulder forming. However, whatever the technicals show, excuse me, sorry, whatever the technicals are showing right now, the fundamentals, you can't change that. There's no way to change the supply and demand problem that we're having right now. And the reason for that is because right now we're producing as a world around 820 to 850 million ounces a year, right? But we're consuming 1.1, 1.2 billion ounces a year. We've been running a deficit for about the last 5 or 6 years, including this year. We're going to run a deficit for the next several years because mine production can't just be turned on like a switch. All right. Mines are not going to turn on unless they know that they can make a profit. That's just the way it is. Right. And when they decide to turn on a mine or to start a mine, it's a multi-year process. Even if you have a mine that was mothballed, in order to bring it back up to specs, regulations, all that kind of stuff, it takes a year or two. So we're going to have a shortage and we're going to continue to have a deficit for the next couple of years, several of years, I would say. Right. And even when we are producing, we're going to be consuming even more as the years go on because of all of this technology stuff that we're getting ourselves into. So I don't see it going down. And when you're looking at the chart, when you're looking at multi-decadal chart, there's only one way for it to go. And that's the trap that everyone gets into. Should I buy silver now or wait for the prices to drop? Well, somebody asked me that when silver was at 40. Should I buy some now or wait for the prices to drop? And my answer was this to them is just dollar cost average. If you dollar cost average, that's what I've been doing, or that's what I was doing for years, just dollar cost average. A certain date of every month, I'd go in there and get a little bit and a little bit and a little bit. I didn't care what the price was, whatever was within the budget. That's what I dollar cost averaged in with every month. All right, that's the best way to accumulate in my opinion. Let's see. Pamela asks about gold bags. Pamela asks, what are your thoughts on the gold dollars I've seen mentioned on other YouTube sites? Thank you, and God bless you too. I'm not a huge fan of the gold bags. It's just, I know premium has a big thing to play with it. I'm just not a huge fan of the gold bags. I rather just have the metal. I believe that even if we turn into like let me put it this way. Get silver dimes, get silver quarters, get fractional gold if you need to have gold. Let me see. Do I have any of those here? I forgot where I put those. There They're somewhere in my side pouch. I can't find them, but I have these little 1/4 grain little bars of gold that are 1/4 of a grain, which means that there's almost 2,000 of those in an ounce of gold, because 1 ounce of gold has 480 grains, right? 1 troy ounce. So I just rather deal with fractional, you know. But if you feel like you want to save in that way, it's still gold. It's still real gold. It's just a very small fraction of an ounce that they put on the gold backs. You know, if you like it and you want to get it, because it is still gold. It still has value, right? It still has real monetary value, right? And to me, it doesn't really matter what shape it's in, as long as it has real monetary value. That's what really matters. Me personally, I'm just not personally a fan of it because of the premium, because it's so much more than what you're actually getting. But like I said before, gold and silver only have one way to go. Same as inflation. It's going to be going up. Let's see. I'm still here, Linda. I'm having a good time talking with everyone. Let's see. John Cosmo asks, where do you think is the best place to buy land in Alaska? Well, I would say it depends on what kind of a lifestyle you want to live. If you want to live off grid, the best place to buy land, I would say, is way up north, north of Fairbanks, like 60 miles north of Fairbanks, or maybe 70 miles north of Fairbanks, or in some other places where you can find it, you can call the DNR, where there's no property tax. So if you live 60 miles north of Fairbanks, something like that, 60, 70 miles maybe, depending where you are in Fairbanks, it's north of the North Star Borough, right? You can buy land up there from the state, and there's no property tax, but you have zero services. You don't have anything. You don't have electricity. You don't have water. You don't have anything at all. You don't have no fire service, nothing. But I believe that it's doable. Living a life up there is doable if you have everything you need. You want internet? You got Starlink. You want electricity? You have solar generators and solar. By the way, go check out OUPES and I have a 5% off. Go check out OUPES because they've extended their Black Friday prices. And no, I'm not receiving any commission from OUPES right now, for that or sponsorship from them. I'm just telling you because they have some great prices. But anyways, off grid, you got what you need water. Yeah, there's water from rain. There's water from snow. There's water from ponds or lakes or rivers if you're near one. So all you need is water filtration. So you've got electricity with batteries or solar generators or solar setup. You have water by collecting water nearby and putting it through a filter. Let's see. You have what else is something that we really need? You have internet by getting Starlink and setting it up out there. It'll work. One of the things that's really important to get out there is, I would say, a satellite phone. Satellite phone, $100 a month is going to cost you to have that. If you can't use a regular phone to go off of the internet from your Starlink, they have AirMed insurance, to where if you get injured pretty badly, you can pay. I think it's like $110, $150 a month to have AirMed insurance, where they'll come and pick you up in a helicopter and take you to a hospital, an emergency, right? And then, of course, you can stock up on food and all the other things that you need in order to be able to live out there. So it's doable. And the fact that right now, and since I've been here, it's a tax-free property where you never pay resident tax, it makes it pretty nice, pretty tempting to do. But nevertheless, even with all of those conveniences, it's a lot more difficult to live in that kind of an environment than it is, obviously, to live where you have all of the amenities that we're used to nowadays. No, I'm not driving any rideshare anymore. I stopped doing that. YouTube is what I do now, ladies and gentlemen. So support me by watching my videos. YouTube is my income now, because I can't really drive rideshare anymore. I can. It was really messing up my my health. So, but it is what it is. You got to do what you can do, right? Oh, absolutely. 1986 American Eagles. That isn't 1986 the first year that they were made. They started making them. Yeah, if you have a 1986 American Eagle, Don't be selling it for spot if you ever sell it. It's worth more than your other years. Yeah, absolutely. I would love to have me a 1986. I would love to have me a 1986 proof. That would be pretty awesome. Let's see. Yeah, and it's going to happen. I mean, when you think about it, when, listen to this. Revelation will destroy the nation's currency through hyperinflation. Now, think about it this way, right? Hyperinflation, the definition of it being is that that specific currency is being devalued at least 50% every month, month over month over month. That's the definition of hyperinflation. Last I read it. Okay. Now, when you think about it, at least the Federal Reserve note since 1913, it's been in a state of kind of like hyperinflation, just in slow motion. I mentioned this, I think it was during our last live, and I'll mention it again in case we have some of you here that weren't there. But when you put it into perspective, how much the dollar has been devalued, think about it this way. In 1913, 1 ounce of gold, right? Just shy of an ounce. It was like, it was like 0.9867 or something like that of an ounce of gold. But we'll say 1 ounce of gold was roughly $20, okay? In 1913. So if we change that around and say it a different way, in 1913, 1 ounce of gold costs 2,000 pennies, right? So in 1913, 1 ounce of gold cost 2,000 pennies. Today, 1 ounce of gold costs $4,200. Now, do you see how much the dollar has been devalued? When we're no longer talking about pennies, but we're talking about dollars and multiples of what it took in pennies to purchase the exact same thing, the exact same element from the periodic table, right? Now it costs so much more to get the exact same thing. And we're living in an era where they had to stop making pennies because it costs multiple pennies to make 1 penny. Think about how our currency, the Federal Reserve note, has been devalued when you look at it that way. It makes no sense, right? That we would continue to use something that has been devalued that much. A great example that I've used in the past to people that are, don't want to accept that gold and silver are real money. This is a great example. Next time you have a conversation with someone that says, oh, gold is just a barbarous relic. Okay, great. So let's say that you have a great grandmother that left you 2 coffee cans buried in the yard. One coffee can had a $20 bill from 1913, and one of them had a 1 ounce gold coin from 1913. When you open both cans, if that $20 bill is still intact and it's not dust, what would you be more excited about having? The $20 or the gold coin? It's a no-brainer, right? So if you're purchasing silver dimes and quarters, you're going to want to get them where they're dated 1964 or prior, right? Constitutional silver was made up of 90% silver on any coinage except for the nickel, right? The nickel didn't have it except from, I think, like 1943 to 1945 during the war. But except for the nickel, if you have dimes, you have quarters, you have half dollars, and you have dollar coins that were minted in 1964 or prior, 90% silver. However, from 1965 to 1969, they did make some Kennedy half dollars that were 40% silver. So if you find yourself any half dollars from those dates from 65 to 69, those are 40% silver. So they still have monetary value, all right? But that's what you want to look for. Yes, I mean, who is this? Danielle? Yeah, if let's say if the United States revalued gold, it would revalue gold for the entire world because gold is because the Federal Reserve note is the world reserve currency. So I mean that's the way I would say. but they would have to, because if the U.S. revalued gold, let's say U.S. was the only country that revalued gold, everyone else would have to revalue it. Because if the U.S. is selling gold here at 20,000, why would you buy it here when they're selling it in another country for 4,000? Right? It would be an arbitrage. So yeah, if one country really revalued gold, let's say that Argentina, let's just pick any country, Argentina. Let's say they revalue gold to $10,000 US. Everyone else would have to revalue gold. If not, everyone would be buying. Everyone in Argentina would be buying gold from outside Argentina to sell it to them, and so would people that held gold outside. So it would be an arbitrage. So yeah, but especially if the U.S. revalued gold, it would be a world revaluation. Hey, upstate New York, how you doing? Heart of Music, good to see you. Thank you for joining in. Let's see. Stormy Kurtz asks, if you have $100, should you buy 1 ounce of silver and the rest in canned goods? If I have $100, and I don't know whether you are or not, Stormy, but I'm just saying this in general. If I have $100 of excess wealth, and I don't have all of my preps, I'm not buying any gold or silver. I'm making sure that I get all the preps that I need first for whatever time period you deem it necessary. Now, assuming that you do have $100 of excess wealth because you have all your preps and you've been putting away a little bit of silver here and there, yeah, I would definitely buy some silver with it. If I had an extra $100 at the end of the month that I didn't need anything with. Now, that's considering that you have an emergency fund, in the bank, an emergency fund at home in cash, that you have all the preps that you need, all of that kind of stuff. Sustaining life is a lot more important than having gold and silver, right? Because it's true. You can eat gold and silver. You can actually swallow it and eat it, but it's not going to provide you the nutrition that you need in order to stay alive, right? So if you don't have those preps for that period of time, if you feel that you need to start putting away a little bit of gold and silver and you don't have all your preps, I would say that do it very, very slow and steady. Like every month, make sure that you put money into your preps and maybe take a little percentage of that, like a small percentage, and maybe buy you some silver dimes or maybe a face dollar of silver, constitutional silver, quarters, dimes, stuff like that. Take it nice and slow. But your preps, in my opinion, are a very important first step to take in preparedness, your food, your water, etc., before you start purchasing silver and gold, as a main prep after you got what you need. I hope that makes sense, because you have to live in order to be able to spend that stuff, right? Or in order to be able to exchange it later on, you have to be alive. So you need the food, you need food, you need water and that stuff. Oh my goodness, is that awesome or what? Look at that. And now you're almost at 300% the price that it was when you purchased it. That is great. Good for you. That is awesome. Let's see. I'm looking, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, how you doing, Ali? Thank you. Thank you for being here. Doing this is truly my pleasure. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to learn how to prep on the cheap, I actually have a playlist of prepping on the cheap videos, of prepping, on doing prepping with things that can get the job done. They may not be fancy, but they're effective, right? So go check those out if you like. Let's see, what's this? Any fiat currency, I would rather just take the fiat currency if it's excess on top of what you need and cash it in for precious metals. Because even the fiat currency, I mean, some people may say, yeah, the nickels, it costs more to make a nickel than what a nickel can buy you. So the metal in it is more. But I mean, you have to be able to trade it and sell it, right? So let's say that the S hits the fan, right? And we've turned into a bartering community. would you yourself accept a nickel to trade for something, a nickel that's just a regular nickel like you have today, or will you accept a silver dime? People are going to turn to real, it's called Gresham's law. People will turn to real money. They'll get rid of money that's not real, fiat currency, and they'll turn into real money, especially when it's in times of need. So me personally, instead of having 1,000 nickels, I'd rather have a few silver dimes. But that's just me. Let's see, what else do we have here? All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, let me go ahead and call it good for now. I think I'm going to go ahead and make me a little bit of breakfast. Make some eggs, make some nutrient survival eggs. Good stuff. Make me some eggs and some keto toast, ladies and gentlemen. That's how boring my life is. But I want to thank you all for joining in. I think we stayed a little bit longer than I was projecting to stay, but I had a great time nonetheless. I hope that you at least enjoyed yourself being here with fellowshipping with some other of our community members. Hey, Frontier Preppers in the house. How you doing, Billy? So I hope that you had a good time when you were here. Again, go check out my videos from yesterday. That's how you can really, really show your support to what I do, is by checking out my videos, giving them a like. Make sure that you go to Monday's video. Again, I'll say it for the 10th time. Go to Monday's video and follow the very easy instructions so that you can enter to win 5 ounces of silver. Giving away 5 ounces of silver on that video, right? And I don't know about you, but a $340 or $320 bill is not bad for a free entry to win. So hopefully you'll go over there and enter, and good luck to those of you that do. And I usually announce the winners the following Monday. So for the rest of this year, every Monday is Silver Monday on the Alaska Prepper channel. So I hope that those of you that win really need it. But even if you don't need it, thank you for entering and thank you for joining in. God bless every one of you. Again, thank you so much. This really means a lot to me that you come out in the middle of the week and hang out with me for a couple of hours. Wow. Yeah. So God bless every one of you. God bless America. I love you all. All right. I'm Alaska Prepper. And just a second, and I'm out.